What's poppin', y'all? It looks like Joe Budden got under the skin of two of the top streamers in the game, and Aiden Ross and Kai Cenat. They both had different responses to what Joe Budden had to say. I'll play the clips. We'll see if it can roll through. If it doesn't, I'll just summarize it for you guys.
Y'all little streaming don't always run shit. Shut the up. Adults are out. Yeah. Pocket handkerchiefs in. Yeah. Got fly shit on. Real execs, business people, you little fucking fucks. Shut up for a change. I'm so sick of these niggas. We only get to do this once a year. Listen, we gotta rush behind Killer Mike. Killer Mike won. We gotta let these know what the fuck we really think.
Every single time somebody starts something, it don't even be me. It be them. They talking about me, so let's talk about them. This is what we have here is a case of old syndrome, my nigga. Listen to me. I'm a 22-year-old young adult who likes to sit in his room and naturally, like everybody else, react to music and things like that. Okay? If I think Spider-Man should have won Superhero of the Year, but you think Green Lantern should have won and Green Lantern wins, nigga, okay, it's your opinion. I'm not familiar with Killer Mike. I was just saying, I felt like Utopia won. Bro, why did I feel like, y'all start talking about streaming bro? Stop doing that, bro. Like, we some little niggas, my nigga. I would buy you, my nigga. Do you understand that, bro? You say it don't come off as hating, but you always bringing me up, bro. Relax, my nigga. It's okay. That's the thing, bro. Y'all don't ever, like, have respect to the old niggas, for sure. You feel what I'm saying? Like, respect to him for sure. The only thing I would say I was wrong at was, like, not even able to, like, do my research on Killer Mike and shit like that. But in the moment, if I want to voice my opinion, I'm going to voice my opinion. 100%, bro. The young niggas think Utopia is fire. Let the young niggas think Utopia is fire. You feel me? The reason why shit going so crazy right now and y'all not being able to comprehend shit is because it's just simply a new wave of niggas, bro. Shout out to Killer Mike. You feel what I'm saying? If I think this should have won that, okay, let it win. I could put up like 20 clips of you doubting every 2016 freshman nigga. And look at them boys right now, bro. Y'all don't know what streaming was. Keep it like that. Cause y'all don't understand it or y'all don't get the chance to understand it. And it's completely fine. Every time when some go on, it's somebody mentioning me. Chat, I be minding my fucking business, dude. And you talk about other niggas' careers, bro. Joe, you got one hit, Joe. Joe, pump it up. Like, you got one hit, though. No offense to your career and shit like that. Just let the young niggas flourish, bro, and everything will be all right. Other than that, be amazing. God bless. Have an amazing day.
Oh, God, once again.
So I thought this was entertaining. I don't think Joe Budden actually has a problem with these guys. It's just content. Joe Budden knows how to rile people up. There's no way Joe Budden is actually upset that these streamers are popping. Now, I will say that Joe Budden has a point when he says, you guys don't run anything. If you don't even know who Killer Mike is, that's insane. And this is the problem that I have with a lot of people that were upset with the verdict here. Now, keep in mind, the last time Travis Scott's album, which was Astroworld, got snubbed at the Grammys, it lost to Cardi B's Invasion of Privacy. And now that is the greatest robbery. Everyone keeps focusing on, Macklemore and Kendrick Lamar, like, what, 10 years ago? Or who knows how long ago? No. The biggest robbery is Cardi B Invasion of Privacy winning over not only Astroworld, but the Pusha T album that came out that same year. And it was another album, too, that definitely should have won over hers. Was it Mac Miller, Swimming? Yeah, it was Macklemore, Swimming. I think it might have even been the Nipsey Hussle album, Victory Lap. Yeah, I can't believe I'm forgetting the Pusha T album off the top of my mind. Before we get some person in chat, man, you can't remember the Pusha T album off the top of your head? No, I can't remember everything off the top of my head. So sit down in the comment section and watch and listen like you're supposed to. Daytona, yes, that's the one. The one with the, who was the other artist? Was it Amy Winehouse? It was somebody's bathroom. So those were the options. And Invasion of Privacy won. Any other album could have won and it would have made sense. But circling back, people are talking about this rap album of the year, Killer Mike. I think the problem that a lot of people have is they get upset when a more popular album or artist wins that's not hip-hop or that they don't listen to. But when it's a less popular artist in the same genre that wins, they're upset because the more popular artist that they like didn't win. And they frame it as, man, who knows this guy? Nobody even knows this person. Man, this ain't the Billboard Awards. Billboard Awards is, who sold the most, who topped the charts, all of that stuff. Like, for instance, when Macklemore won, and pretty much everybody that's hating on the Killer Mike decision and saying, man, Utopia, they would have been upset at the Macklemore decision. But Macklemore was smoking hot. He was the hottest. He was sunburned with how smoking hot he was that year. The dude had smash hit on smash hit. It was kind of an independent album, kind of not. It was him and his producer. They did that all on their own, and it was wildly successful and famous. And Kendrick Lamar, let's not get it twisted. He was popping, but he wasn't popping like Macklemore to like a wider, broader audience. But people were upset with that. Okay, makes sense. So why would you be upset at this outcome? And the thing is, if you don't even know who Killer Mike is, and you don't even know that he was part of the... I'm not saying you need to listen to everything Killer Mike dropped. Absolutely not. That's absurd. But for you to not know who this person is, and to just not have listened to any of his music, and then be like, why would this guy win? What is wrong with you? Like, when Bach ended up winning, and Kanye like kind of went up stage and went back down and had like a couple of comments to say after, the immediate thing that I did was I looked him up, I saw who he was, and I listened to the album that won before forming any type of judgment. Because my first thing is, oh, whoa, who's this guy? I don't know who he is. But instead of being arrogant and thinking, man, why the hell would this guy win? How much of a fool would I look like if I have that initial response and then I listen to his music and I find out the dude's amazing? And that dude Bach is amazing. Dude plays like 12 instruments, something like that. Probably less. But dude plays a ton of instruments. That album was amazing. He makes great music. He's not the best-selling guy. He's not super famous. He's not on top 10 on the Hot 100, but the guy makes great music. It made sense why he won. And it's the same thing with Killer Mike. Now, I didn't listen to this Killer Mike album. I'm gonna keep it a buck. But, you know, I've known his work in the past, and he's largely been, number one, consistent, and he hasn't even won that many things. So, if you guys even remember, I think it's been posted everywhere. On To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick Lamar was shouting out Killer Mike. And I know these young bucks are listening to Kendrick Lamar. That's like the same era, you could say, as, well, I wouldn't say same era. Travis Scott came up a couple of years after, but people like Kai and Aiden, they're listening to Kendrick Lamar. They'll show some respect to Kendrick Lamar. So when he says like, yo, what you kids are paying attention to is not representative of an entirely different demographic, which is adults. And let's keep it a buck. Like, I think Kai Cenat even said this. He's like, yo, my audience is not, your audience are children. Same thing with Aiden Ross. Like, it's there, I would say, rarely is anybody above 25 consistently watching these guys. The majority of people that are watching them on the regular are between the ages of 10 and 19, maybe like 20, 21, which is cool. Like, it doesn't make you like less than or lame, maybe to some people, but there's there's multiple generations of adults. And it's kind of like when people say stuff like, yo, Playboi Carti or Youngboy, for example, like these people both had young audiences, and they'll say, man, Playboi Carti and Youngboy, man, these guys are known globally. No, they're not. What are you talking about? And every time I say this, when I say someone's not a global artist, they're like, nah, man, like me and my homies in Rwanda listen to Playboi Carti. Okay, like, respectfully, that doesn't make somebody a global artist. There's probably an artist with 100,000 monthly listeners that has 2 people listening to him in South Africa, 1 person listening to him in Japan, and another person listening to him in Mongolia. That doesn't make him a global artist. A global artist means that not only does your influence spread, but if you went to these places, you would have a large amount of people, like tens of thousands, if not more, that would be willing to go to a show. That's why these people tour globally. Now, Africa is a market not many people tour at. Maybe they'll do a show in South Africa, but for the most part, even global artists don't really do shows there. But Youngboy and Playboi Carti, these guys are not really popping. And you can just check, do yourself a favor, go to YouTube charts and just look up charts of different countries. Go to the UK, look up the YouTube charts for music, see where, or start at the US. See where they fall in the US, Playboi Carti and Youngboy. And then go to the UK and see where they fall. And then go to Japan and see where they fall. And then go to, I don't know, Egypt and see where they fall. And then go to Brazil and see where they fall. You're going to see that sometimes they're not even in the top 100. Meanwhile, other US acts, like for example, like Kanye West, Drake, they'll fall in the top 100 of these other countries. Hell, even Bad Bunny for some of these other countries, he's going to fall in that top 100. That's what makes them global artists. But when people are focused and they're kind of in this bubble, which is what I think these streamers are in, where they're hanging out with other streamers who pretty much echo their same, I wouldn't say opinions, because they have different opinions, but echo their same view on what's lit and what's not, and the kids buy into the same thing, that they're shocked when outcomes like this happen, which I'm going to keep it a buck. I was not shocked because when I saw the Grammy nominations, I was like, whoa, these are some interesting nominations for this year. Like, there are a lot of other albums, that could have been up there. Like Gunna, it made sense, right? Nas, I didn't think that Magic 2 was going to be it. but, you know, it was up there. Utopia, Heroes and Villains, yeah, it made sense. Now, would I say Heroes and Villains was a great album, but this is actually really surprising because this is a producer's album. I think any one of these could have won. So it's no surprise. Gift and a Curse, I don't think that one would have won. It was one of the best albums of last year, but last year was relatively weak for mainstream artists. I think it had a great storyline too, the Gunna album, despite great storyline in terms of engagement, despite whether you think of it positively or negatively. But I didn't really like the response that Aiden and Kai kind of gave this guy, which is like, hey, the ironic thing was telling someone that they're more humble than them, when Joe Budden is pretty humble for what he'd been able to do and what he's been able to accomplish. Like, who was another rapper that started podcasting and had a successful podcast? Joe Budden was like doing a lot of things on the internet before the majority of other people caught on. And he could talk about that all the time, yet he doesn't. And it's the irony of telling someone you're more humble than them when you're kind of like trying to sun them is ironic in and of itself. But I just think it's for content as well. Like, he has to kind of get mad at him for the content to get views. And I just think the money thing is lame because, like, money nowadays is not what it once was. Like, it was once a metric for not just hard work, but ingenuity and kind of like, especially if it was done legally, it was like something respectable. But now you've got, dude, you could work your hardest, and there are chicks that are making $1 million on OnlyFans. For you, $1 million a month on OnlyFans. Like, for you to make, like, you can't even compare money at that point. If kind of like the doors have opened to unscrupulous characters to make money. And Aiden Ross, let's keep it a buck, the majority of his wealth comes from and came from promoting shady online crypto casino gambling. So yeah, I mean, Kai, I would say like he's like a legitimate straight shooter. He's made his money in ways that aren't exploitative. I kind of don't like to use that word because it rubs me the wrong way because it's misused a lot of the times. But I think we can say like someone shilling like a certain type of gambling is exploitative to a degree, especially to a children's audience. Now, when the bag is that big, I understand why people decide to look the other way, but that's also how we get a lot of problems in our society when people decide to look the other way for things that don't necessarily bother them and they don't see the effects of. That's a conversation for another day, one that I don't really like to have right now. But yeah, I don't think Joe Budden cares about money. And it's also, it gets to a point is, like, when is it enough money? It's like, Joe Budden's definitely a millionaire. Like, he's got a nice home. He doesn't really have to worry about money. He can buy a car, any car he wants. He can buy, I don't know, flight that he wants. Maybe he can't fly private all the time. I don't think he even really cares to travel unless he's going on vacation or something. So, like, let's just say Joe Budden makes $1 million a year, right? I mean, Joe Budden probably sees this. He'd be like, man, that's disrespectful saying I make $1 million a year, especially now that I'm taking these sponsorships. But let's just say Joe Budden makes $1 million a year, right? Like, does Aiden Ross making, I don't know, let's just say 50, right? Let's skyball Aiden Ross. Does Aiden Ross making $50 million a year and Kai Cenat making $30 million a year? Like, is that really that much different? Like, what can they do? I mean, either way, these guys are sitting at the crib. Aiden Ross self-admittedly sits at the crib the majority of the day on like a Discord call with his homies, which there's nothing wrong with. But what does you having that much more money like give you over him? Now, there is a big deal when like someone's living in a crabby apartment and they've got like rats and roaches, and then maybe they're living in a decently spacious place and maybe now they've got a home. But once everything's covered, it's like, what are you even flexing about? And to who? I just don't get it. Maybe I never like was so money focused, which probably like a problem that I should take a look at, and I probably should focus on making more money. But I just don't see why making a 50, 100 million is so much better than somebody making 5 to 10. And I don't think it makes that person that much better. Now, if he's operating in the same field, I would say otherwise. And let's keep it a buck. When it comes strictly to hip hop, Joe Budden has the ear of influential people. Now, who are influential people? Rappers, producers, managers, agents, etc., stuff like that. People that are actually the movers and shakers. Now, Aiden Ross and Kai Cenat, they'll do more numbers. Maybe they'll drum up attention. Maybe they'll go viral. But these executives aren't listening to Aiden Ross and Kai Cenat for their opinions. They're not listening to them to, like, opinions in terms of, they're not respecting these guys' opinions. They'll respect what Joe Budden has to say. And that's the difference too, where young people kind of need to shut up. We need to do this sometimes. Is Joe Budden went through the industry. The guy got a record deal when not anybody could just get popping on the internet. The internet really wasn't even a thing. He had a hit, and under under certain circumstances, we're not cutting that out, he ended up not having such a lucrative career. Part of that maybe is him not wanting to comply with what the record label wanted. There are so many different factors, and luck is such an important factor in certain career paths. Number one is athletics, and number two is like music. Things could go so many different ways, and part of the reason why a lot of artists are still successful is not just because they consistently made good music, but there's an element of luck to it. Like maybe they didn't end up in a bad deal. Like for instance, Lupe Fiasco talks about how I think when he went to Atlantic, he went there because Jay-Z told him that he was going to become president or an executive there, and if that had happened, he favored Lupe Fiasco heavily, so things would have gone a little bit different. But Jay-Z ended up taking a different opportunity. So now Lupe Fiasco was in a position where, yo, I'm signed to this place that I thought was going to turn out differently than what I had anticipated. So now you get this different friction. You're kind of stuck in a deal. You don't know what's going to happen. The deal is for 5 albums. That could be anywhere from like 6 to 10 years, and they can push it. So your career is kind of at the fate of someone else. And this is how music went. But regardless, Joe Budden managed to keep a career. It's not like Joe Budden fell off. He kept a career, a decently successful career. He was able to feed his family. He was doing okay. He did reality TV. He did podcasting. Like, he's done so many different types of media. He did Everyday Struggle, which is arguably the most, these guys definitely watched Everyday Struggle, which is the funny part. It's one of the most successful shows ever, and I don't think they should bring it back because that dynamic just isn't really replicable anymore. I don't think so. It's a good thing that like will stay as a stamp in history. But this guy's gone through this whole industry. He's seen everything, and now he's talking about it on the other side. These guys are young bucks, which goes to show they're good at entertaining people, but they don't know the ins and outs of things like Joe Budden does, which is why certain people don't look to their opinion for certain things like this. Now, they move and shake things marketing wise, but that's a distinction people need to make. And one of the most important things on the internet, not all numbers are created equal. Like having 100,000 10-year-olds listening and paying attention to you is not the same as having 100 CEOs that are listening and paying attention to you and respecting you. I'm not saying that the former or the latter is Joe Budden or Aiden Ross, but I'm just trying to create that separation where people just look at a number and see, whoa, that's 100,000. No, numbers are very different based on who's comprised in those numbers. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.